The big space station floated quietly around the huge gas giant called Ra-9. Its lights glowed like tiny stars against the swirling colors of the planet below. Ships from many worlds docked at long arms that stretched out from the center. Inside, wide halls and meeting rooms buzzed with voices in strange languages. This was the place where different species came to talk about peace after many years of small fights near the edge of known space. Today was an important day. The Galactic Council had called everyone to discuss new rules for the border zones. No one wanted a big war, but trust was low. Aliens of all shapes watched each other carefully. Daniel Hayes walked through the main corridor. He was a human from Earth. He wore a plain gray uniform with no bright colors or medals. His dark hair was short and neat. His face looked calm, almost bored. He carried only a small data pad in his hand. No guards followed him. No weapons showed on his belt. To many eyes he seemed small and ordinary next to the tall, strong aliens around him. He entered the large round chamber where the talks would happen. Seats rose in circles around a clear platform in the middle. Already many delegates sat in their places. There were insect-like beings with clicking mandibles, feathered creatures that smelled faintly of spice, and heavy four-legged beings with thick hides. At one side sat the group from the Vexari Dominion. They were known as fierce warriors. Their bodies were covered in hard, dark green scales. Sharp claws tipped their fingers. Tall crests ran down their backs. They sat straight, eyes bright with pride. At the front of the Vexari group stood Kira Voss. She was one of their best speakers and fighters. She stood almost 7 feet tall. Her scales shone under the lights. Her yellow eyes moved fast, looking for weakness. She wore light armor plates on her shoulders and chest, decorated with marks of old battles. A long knife hung at her side, though weapons were not allowed in the talks. Everyone knew the Vexari liked to show strength, even words. Daniel found his seat among the human section. Only 3 humans had come. The others were older diplomats who handled small matters. Daniel was the main voice for Earth this time. He sat down quietly and looked around the room. He nodded politely to a few aliens he knew from past meetings. The council leader, an old being with glowing blue skin, raised one long arm. The room grew quiet. We begin, the leader said in the common trade language. Today we speak of the neutral zones. Let each side state their needs. One by one, delegates spoke. Some asked for more trade rights. Others wanted limits on military ships. The talks moved slowly. Everyone was careful with words. Then it was Kira Voss's turn. She stepped onto the center platform. Her boots made loud clicks on the metal. She looked around with a small, sharp smile. Her voice came out strong and clear. Many of you know the Vexari stand for honor and strength. She began. We have fought to keep our borders safe. We respect those who earn respect. Her eyes stopped on Daniel. The smile grew colder. But now we see new faces, soft faces, weak faces. She pointed one clawed finger straight at him. This human, this Daniel Hayes, he sits here like he belongs among warriors and builders of empires. Look at him. No scales, no claws, no strength in his arms. His people crawled out of mud only a short time ago. They still fight with sticks and stones in their minds. How can such creatures claim a place at this table? A few aliens laughed quietly. Others looked uncomfortable. Kira did Not stop, his skin breaks so easily. 1. Scratch and he bleeds, his bones snap. Under real pressure, his kind tires. After a few hours of work, they call themselves explorers, but they hide behind machines because their bodies fail them. They speak of peace, but only because they cannot win a real fight. She stepped closer to the edge of the platform, closer to where Daniel sat. Her voice grew louder. I say this without restraint. Humans are prey, not predators, not equals. They insult this council by sitting here. Their presence makes the air smell of fear and weakness. Daniel Hayes, you should not be here. Go back to your small blue world. Tend your fields. Hide from the stars. That is where soft things belong. The room felt heavy. Many eyes turned to Daniel. They waited for him to stand up, angry or to shout back or to look ashamed. Some aliens whispered bets on how he would react. Daniel did not move. At first, he sat still, hands resting on his knees. His face showed nothing. No anger, no shame, no surprise. He listened as if Kira was talking about the weather. When she finished, silence filled the chamber. Kira crossed her arms and waited, chest out, ready for the fight she expected. Daniel looked up. Slowly, his eyes met hers for one short moment, then he gave a small nod, almost like saying thank you for the words. He stood up. The motion was smooth and quiet. He did not rush. He did not slam anything. He simply turned toward the exit door. His steps were even, no shaking, no hurry. The door hissed open. He walked through. The door closed behind him with a soft sound. Everyone stared at the empty spot where he had been. Kira blinked. Her proud smile slipped a little. She had wanted a reaction, a yell, a challenge, something she could use to show Vexari power. Instead, the human had given her nothing. Murmurs started around the room. Some aliens laughed and said the human ran away. Others frowned and said it felt strange. The council leader cleared his throat and tried to move the talks forward, but the energy had changed. Kira stepped down from the platform. She went back to her seat. Her aides looked at her, waiting for orders. She said nothing. Inside, a small spark of confusion burned. She had insulted him without holding back, just as she planned, but the human simply turned and left, and somehow that felt worse than any insult he could have thrown back. The talks continued, but no one paid full attention anymore. Eyes kept going to the human seats, now one empty, and to the door where Daniel had gone. Something had shifted in the room, small but real. The Vexari had aimed to show strength. Instead, they had shown everyone how little they understood the quiet man from Earth. Outside in the corridor, Daniel walked toward the human embassy wing. He passed windows that showed the swirling clouds of Alarin. Far below, he did not look angry. He did not look afraid. He looked like someone who had finished one small task and now moved to the next. The stars waited, and so did he. The news moved fast through the station like air through open vents. By the time Daniel Hayes reached the human embassy wing, most delegates already knew what happened. In the wide corridors, small groups of aliens stood together and talked in low voices. Some laughed, some shook their heads, a few looked worried without knowing why. In the main lounge near the Vexari section, Kira Voss sat at a long table with her team. She held a tall glass of sharp-smelling liquid and smiled wide. Her aides gathered close. One of them, a younger Vexari named Torv, spoke first. "You broke him without lifting a claw," Torv said. The human walked out like a beaten pup. The others will see it now. They will give us what we want. Kira lifted her glass, of course soft. Things run when you show teeth. I only said what everyone thinks. Humans do not belong here. They never did. The group laughed. Another aide pulled up a screen and showed short clips from the chamber. There was Daniel standing up. There was the slow turn. There was the door closing. Each time the clip played, the Vixari laughed louder. Kira watched with pleasure. She felt strong in control. But as the hours passed, something small started to bother her, but human had not come back, not even to argue, not even to send a message full of weak excuses. The talks continued without him. The other human diplomats spoke in calm voices about trade and borders. They did not mention the insult. They did not ask for apologies. They acted like nothing big had happened. Kira sent one of her aides to check the human embassy. The aide returned quickly. They say Envoy Hayes is resting. He will not return to the chamber today. The others will handle the small matters. Resting, Kira repeated. Her smile faded a little. After I spoke truth to his face, he rests. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the gas giant turned slowly, its storms glowing red and gold. She stared at it for a long time. Then she turned back to her team. Tomorrow we push harder. We demand the outer mining rights. If the humans want peace, they will give in. Their envoy already ran. The rest will follow. The next day the council met again. Kira stepped to the platform with fresh energy. She spoke about Vixari's strength. She listed battles her people had won. She pointed to the empty seat where Daniel had sat. See, even their speaker knows his place. He left because he could not face us. Now let us finish this. The neutral zones belong to those who can hold them. Many aliens nodded. Some stayed quiet. Delegate from the tall, thin Lurani. People raised a hand. We have watched the human position. It has not changed. They still refuse to give the mining sectors. Their diplomats say the same. Words as before. Kira laughed. Words mean nothing without strength behind them. The human showed he has none. But in the back rows, a few delegates whispered. One was a furry being from the Koran worlds. He leaned to his neighbor. The human left without anger. That is not normal. Most species would fight back with words at least. This feels different. The talks dragged on. Kira kept pressing. She wanted big wins for her people. The other humans answered politely but firmly. No extra land, no extra rights. Nothing changed. By evening, Kira felt restless. She walked alone through the station's quiet halls. She passed food stalls where aliens ate strange meals. She passed training rooms where fighters practice with blades and energy sticks. She thought about Daniel's face during her speech. No fear, no rage, just calm like stone. She stopped at the data terminal and pulled up public files on humans. She read quickly. Short lifespans, fragile bodies, no natural weapons. Yet they spread fast. They built ships. They made alliances. They survived wars that should have ended them. One old report caught her eye. It told of a human ship lost in deep space for years. The crew lived on almost nothing. They fixed their ship with scraps. They came back stronger. The report called it human endurance. Kira closed the file. Myths, she thought, stories to make weak things feel big. Still, the quiet bothered her. She had won the moment in the chamber. She had made everyone laugh at the human, but the victory felt thin, like hitting air instead of flesh. In the human embassy, Daniel sat in a small room with plain walls. He drank water from a clear cup. One of the other diplomats, a woman named Laura Brooks, sat across from him. You could have said something, Laura said softly. Even a short answer. People are talking. Daniel looked at her. Words would not change her mind. She wanted a show. I did not give her one. Laura nodded slowly. The others are asking why you left. Some think we look weak. Daniel set the cup down. Let them think that for now we hold our ground. That is enough. He stood and walked to the window. The stars looked steady and far. He thought about home, about green fields and blue oceans, about people who worked hard and kept going, even when things hurt. He smiled a little small and private. Back in the Vixari area, Kira gathered her team again. She felt the need to do more, to push until something broke. Tomorrow I will speak again, she said. I will call out the humans directly. If their main envoy hides, I will make sure everyone knows it. Torv looked unsure. What if he comes back? Kira's eyes narrowed. If he comes back, I will finish what I started, but I think he will stay away. Cowards do not return. Night came to the station. Lights dimmed in the halls. Most beings went asleep. Pods or rest chambers. Kira lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling. She replayed the moment in her mind. The insult, the silence, the turn. The door. She told herself it was a win. A clear win, but deep inside a small voice asked why the human had looked so sure when he left, why he had not needed to prove anything. Right then, in another part of the station, Daniel slept lightly. His dreams were quiet. No anger, no fear, just patience, like a man waiting for the right moment. Outside, the gas giant kept turning. Station kept spinning, and somewhere in the quiet spaces between, the balance began to shift. Not loud, not fast, but real. The insult had landed. The human had walked away. Now the galaxy waited to see what came next. 3 days passed. After Daniel left the chamber, the station kept its normal rhythm. Ships came and went. Delegates ate in the food courts. Lights stayed bright in the halls, but under the surface everyone felt the change. The Vixari pushed harder in talks. They asked for more control over shared mining zones. They spoke louder. They smiled less. Kira Vassos walked the corridors with her head high. She wore her best armor plates, now polished until they shone. She wanted everyone to see her strength. In her mind, the human silence proved her right. He had run, he had hidden. She had won without a fight, but the silence from the human side grew heavier each day. The other human diplomats stayed polite. They answered questions. They offered small trades. They never raised their voices. They never mentioned Kira's words. It made her angry in a way she could not explain. On the 4th morning, Kira sat in the Vixari meeting room with her team. Screens showed the latest council notes. Nothing had moved in their favor yet. The neutral species still held back. They watched and waited. Torv, her aide, spoke carefully. The humans are not giving ground. Their position is the same as the first day. Maybe we should offer something small to move things forward. Kira slammed her claw on the table. The sound echoed. Offer. We do not offer to pray. We take what is ours. The human ran because he knows his place. If we push now, the others will follow. She stood and paced. Her tail flicked back and forth. I need to end this doubt. Everyone still whispers about the human who left without a word. It makes us look weak if they think he scared us. An older Vixari named Ren, who had fought in many wars, looked up. Silence can be a weapon too, he gave. You nothing to fight, that is harder to beat than anger, then I will give him something he cannot ignore. She turned to the data screen and opened the station's formal challenge system. Vixari law allowed it in disputes. Public duel, one fighter against one. No. Weapons beyond body and skill, in zero. Gravity broadcast live, the winners side gained honor and often better terms. In talks, Kira wrote the challenge. Herself, she named Daniel Hayes as the opponent. She set the rules clear. Unarmored, no tools, no help. The fight would happen in the main arena tomorrow. At midday station time, refusal would mark humans as cowards forever in the eyes of the galaxy. She sent it. The system flashed green, accepted for delivery. Word spread in minutes. Screens in every hall showed the notice. Aliens stopped to read. Some laughed. Some looked serious. In the human embassy, Laura Brooks received the message first, then she went to find Daniel. He sat in the small gym they had set up in the embassy wing. He wore simple exercise clothes. He moved slow through basic stretches. His breathing stayed even. Laura held out the data pad. They challenged you, public duel tomorrow. Daniel took the pad. He read the terms. His face stayed calm. Laura waited. What will you do? He handed the pad back. I will accept. Laura blinked. You know Vixari are built for this. Bigger, stronger claws, scales. You have none of that. Daniel nodded once. I know. Then why? Because if I refuse, they win without fighting, and that story will spread. Humans hide humans. Fear. Better to face it now. Laura sighed. You could send someone else. One of our security team. They train for close combat. No, Daniel said quietly. It is my name on the challenge. My place at the table. I go. I accept the terms as written. Laura looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded and left to send the message. By afternoon, the whole station knew Daniel Hayes had accepted. No excuses, no delay. The arena booking filled fast. Seats went in minutes. Broadcast rights sold to news channels across systems. Everyone wanted to see the soft human face of Vixari. Warrior. Kira received the acceptance in her quarters. She read it and felt a rush of joy. Finally, something real, something she could break. She spent the rest of the day preparing. She sharpened her claws on special stones. She stretched her muscles until they burned. She practiced strikes in front of a mirror. Each move fast and deadly. She imagined the human's face when she closed in. She imagined the crowd cheering her name. Night came. The station dimmed its lights. Most beings tried to rest. Kira lay awake, eyes open, thinking of victory. She pictured Daniel on the arena floor bleeding, asking for mercy. She smiled in the dark. In the human embassy, Daniel did not sleep much. He sat by the window and looked at the stars. He thought about Earth, about his family back home, about why he came here, not to fight, not to prove he was tough, to show that humans could stand equal without shouting or breaking things. He stood up and did slow push-ups on the floor, then sit-ups. Then he stretched. His body felt ready. Not excited, not afraid, just ready. Morning arrived. The station woke up. Busy, crowds moved toward the arena. Early, vendors sold food and drinks. Screens replayed Kira's insult speech. From days ago, they showed Daniel walking out. Commentators talked loud. They said the human had no chance. They said it would be quick. Kira arrived at the arena first. She walked through the entrance tunnel. Lights hit her scales. The crowd roared. She raised one arm. Her people chanted her name. She stepped into the zero-gravity field. The arena was a big clear sphere, no floor, no walls. To grab, just floating space with markers for points. She floated in the center. She flexed her arms, her claws caught the light. The announcer's voice filled the station. Kira Voss of the Vexari Dominion enters the field. More cheers, then silence fell. Everyone waited. Daniel appeared at the opposite entrance. No armor, no special clothes. Just his gray uniform, sleeves rolled up. He walked calm, no rush. The crowd made some noise, some boos, some curious murmurs. He stepped into the Zerog. His body floated smooth. He had trained in low gravity before. He knew how to move without wasting energy. He stopped a short distance from Kira. He looked at her, no hate in his eyes, no fear, just steady. Kira grinned wide. She spoke loud enough for the microphones to catch. You came brave, little prey or foolish. Either way, this ends now. Daniel said nothing. The announcer counted down. 3, 2, 1, begin. Lights flashed green. Here, la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 launched. Forward like a spring, claws out, mouth open in a battle cry. Daniel waited. The duel had started. The green light flashed. The zero-gravity arena came alive. He is shot forward like an arrow. Her powerful legs pushed her body straight at Daniel, claws stretched out, long and sharp. Her mouth opened in a loud roar that echoed through the speakers. The crowd shouted back, Vexari. Voices rose highest of all. Daniel did not move fast. He floated still for one heartbeat. Then he shifted just enough. His body turned sideways in the air. Kira's claws sliced past his shoulder by less than an inch. The force of her rush carried her forward. She twisted to stop herself, but in zero gravity, it took extra effort. She spun halfway around before she could face him again. Crowd gasped. Some laughed nervously. Kira snarled, "You dodged like a scared child." She launched again, this time lower. Her tail whipped behind her for balance. One claw aimed for his chest, the other for his leg. Daniel bent his knees slightly. He pushed off a small marker buoy in the arena wall. His body dropped lower in the sphere. Kira's strike hit empty space. Her claws scraped the buoy instead. Sparks flew. Daniel floated closer now, not rushing, not angry. He moved like water around rocks. Kira spun to face him. She swung hard. With her right arm, Daniel caught the motion early. He leaned back. Her fist grazed his cheek. A thin line of blood appeared. The crowd cheered louder. First blood, but Daniel did not flinch. He did not yell. He pushed forward with one smooth kick against the nearest wall. His body glided straight at her. Kira raised both arms to block. She expected a wild punch. Instead, Daniel stopped short. He grabbed her extended wrist with both hands. He twisted hard, not to break but to lock. Then he pulled her off balance. Kira felt the shift. She tried to pull free. Her strength was much greater, but Daniel used her own force against her. He let go at the right second. She flew backward. Her back hit the clear wall of the arena. The impact made a dull thud. Air rushed out of her lungs. The crowd went quiet for a moment, then murmur started. This was not the quick kill they expected. Kira pushed off the wall. Rage filled her eyes. You think tricks will save you? She charged again, faster. This time, she aimed to grab him around the middle and crush. Daniel waited until the last moment. He sidestepped in the air. As she passed, he drove his elbow into the soft spot under her arm. The hit landed clean. Kira hissed in pain. One scale cracked. She turned fast. Her tail lashed out like a whip. It caught Daniel across the ribs. Force spun him sideways. Pain shot through his side. He felt something crack. A rib, maybe. He ignored it. He righted himself and floated back a short distance. Kira laughed. Now, feel that. That is real power. You bleed, you break. I do not. Daniel said nothing. His breathing stayed even. Blood trickled from the cut on his cheek. His uniform tore at the side where her tail hit, but his eyes stayed clear, focused. She came at him once more. This time she feinted left, then struck right. Daniel read the fake. He blocked the real strike with his forearm. The impact hurt. Her scales felt like metal, but he held. Then he countered, a short, sharp punch to her throat. Not full strength, just enough to stun. Kira choked. Her eyes widened. She staggered back in the air. For the first time, doubt showed on her face. Daniel did not chase. He floated, waiting. Kira shook her head. She roared again, louder, angrier. She rushed forward with everything she had. Claws wide, legs pumping. She wanted to end it, tear him apart, make the galaxy see Vexari rule. Daniel moved not away. Toward her he closed the gap. As her claws came down, he ducked under arm. He drove his shoulder into her chest. The hit pushed her back. Then he followed with quick strikes. Knee to her gut, elbow to her side, palm to her jaw. Each one landed on weak points, places where scales were thinner, places that hurt more. Kira swung wildly. One claw rat his arm. Deep cuts opened. Blood floated out in small red drops. Another claw caught his leg. Fabric tore. Skin split. Pain burned hot, but Daniel kept moving. He did not slow. He did not cry out. The crowd watched in silence now. No cheers, no laughs, just stunned breathing. Kira felt her arms grow heavy. Her breaths came short. She had fought longer battles, but never against someone who refused to break. Never against someone who took pain and kept coming. She lunged one last time. Desperate, Daniel caught her wrist again. This time he twisted harder. He pulled her close. With his free hand he pressed hard against a nerve cluster at the base of her neck. Kira's body locked. Her muscles froze. She could not move. Daniel held her there, floating together in the center of the sphere. Blood from both of them drifted around like slow rain. He spoke then. His voice came low, clear. The microphones caught every word. You thought silence was weakness. You thought I ran because I feared you. I left because words were wasted on you then. Now you see why. He released the pressure. Kira floated limp, not dead, not broken, just finished. Her eyes stared at him wide, confused, defeated. Daniel pushed her gently toward the arena wall. She hit it soft. She slid down the curve until she hung still. The announcer's voice broke the quiet. The duel ends. Daniel Hayes stand. Kira Voss yields. The lights dimmed. The zero-gravity field powered down slowly. Gravity returned in gentle waves. Kira sank to the padded floor. She knelt, head bowed. Vexari custom submission to the stronger. Daniel floated down beside her. His body hurt. Cuts bled. One eye swelled, but he stood straight. He looked at the crowd. No Smile, no raised arms, just calm. The doors opened, medics rushed in. They checked Kira first, she waved them off. She stayed on her knees, Daniel turned. He walked to the exit, slow steps, no rush, blood dripped on the floor behind him. The crowd parted, no one spoke. He left the arena the same way he had left the chamber days before, quiet, steady. Done. Behind him, Kira lifted her head. She watched him go, for the first time. She saw not prey, not weakness. Something else, something she did not understand yet. The broadcast ended. The galaxy saw it all, and the story of the human who took every insult, every blow, and still walked away stronger. The arena doors closed behind Daniel Hayes. The crowd stayed silent for a long moment, then slow clapping started in one corner. It spread, not wild cheers, not loud shouts, just steady, respectful applause. Aliens from many worlds looked at each other. They had come to see a quick fight. They saw something else. Medics helped Kira Voss to her feet. She pushed them away gently. She walked out. Under her own power, her head stayed low, her tail dragged behind her. Blood still dripped from cuts on her scales. Her pride hurt more than her body. In the station corridor, screens replayed the last moments, Daniel's calm words, Kira's frozen body, the release, the walk away. Commentators spoke in quiet voices. They called it one of the shortest yet longest duels in recent memory, not because of time, because of what it showed. Daniel reached the human embassy wing. Laura Brooks waited at the door. She looked at his cuts, his torn clothes, the blood on his face. You need a doctor, she said. Later, Daniel answered. First, pack my things. I leave on the next shuttle. Laura opened her mouth to argue, then she closed it. She nodded. I'll arrange it. Inside his small room, Daniel sat on the edge of the bed. He cleaned the cuts with a cloth and water. The pain came sharp, but he moved slow and careful. He did not complain. He thought about the fight, about Kira's eyes when he spoke, about the silence before the end. He stood up. He changed into fresh clothes. Plain gray again. No marks of victory. No new medals, just clean fabric over bruises. By evening, the station buzzed with new talk. Delegates sent messages to their home worlds. Some changed their votes in the council. Neutral species that had stayed quiet now spoke up. They supported Earth's position on the border zones. They offered better trade deals. They said humans had earned a real seat at the table. Kira sat alone in her quarters, lights dim. She stared at the wall screen. The duel played on loop. She watched her own strikes, her own rage, then Daniel's quiet counters, his face when he spoke. She paused, the image on his eyes, steady, not cruel, not proud, just sure. She touched the cut on her neck. It still stung. She remembered his grip, strong enough to hold her, gentle enough to let go. She felt something new, not hate, not fear. Respect, small at first, then bigger. She stood up. She walked to the comm panel. She opened a private channel to the human embassy. A voice answered, not Daniel. Laura, I wish to speak to Envoy Hayes, Kira said. Her voice came low. He is preparing to leave, Laura answered. But I can pass a message. Kira paused. Tell him I was wrong. Tell him the Vixari will honor the current borders. No more demands, and tell him thank you for not breaking me when you could. I will tell him. The channel closed. Daniel finished packing one small bag. He looked around the room. Plain walls, plain bed, nothing to remember except the view of stars through the window. He turned to leave. Laura met him in the hall. Kira sent a message. Daniel stopped. He listened. Laura repeated the words. Daniel nodded once. No smile, no words, just a small breath out. They walked to the docking bay together. Other humans came too. They said quiet goodbyes. They wished him safe travel. Daniel shook hands, simple, firm. The shuttle waited, small, gray, ready for the long trip back to Earth. Daniel stepped inside. He took a seat by the window. The doors closed. Engines hummed soft as the shuttle pulled away from the station. Daniel looked back. The big ring of lights grew smaller. RN9s. Clouds swirled below. He thought about Kira, about the insult, about the silence, about walking away twice. He leaned back, closed his eyes. The pain in his ribs eased a little. Sleep came slow. On the station, Kira stood at a window in the Vexari wing. She watched the shuttle disappear into the dark. Her aides gathered behind her. They waited for orders. She gave none. Torv stepped forward. What now? Kira turned. Her voice came steady. We train harder. We learn more. We do not insult without cause again. Humans are not prey. They are different, strong in ways we did not see. The aides nodded. They left her alone. Kira stayed at the window. She thought about the human who took every word she threw, who took every blow, who gave no hate back, who left when it was done. Days later, the council finished its work. New agreements signed. Borders stayed as they were. Trade opened wider. Humans gained respect not from loud words, from quiet action. Stories spread across the stars, in bars on distant moons, in schools on crowded worlds, in ships crossing empty space. They told of the Vexari who insulted without restraint, of the human who simply turned and left. Then they told the rest, how he came back, how he fought, how he won without rage, how he left again, clean, done. The story grew. Some added details, some changed names, but the heart stayed the same. A lesson in strength, not the loud kind, the kind that waits, endures, acts when needed, then walks away. Years passed. Kira rose higher in her people's ranks. She became a leader. She spoke of honor, of learning from enemies, of seeing strength in silence. She never forgot the human. Daniel returned to Earth. He lived quiet. He worked in gardens. He taught young diplomats. He told no stories of the duel unless asked. When he did speak, he said little. Sometimes the hardest fight is the one you do not start with words. One night, far from the station, under a clear sky, Daniel looked up at the stars. He thought about Kira, about the galaxy, about how small one moment could be, how big its echo. Somewhere Kira looked at the same stars. She thought the same. Neither spoke again. They did not need to. The insult had started it. The silence had carried it. The fight had ended it, and the leaving had sealed it. She insulted him without restraint, but the human simply turned and left, and in that turn and that leaving, the galaxy learned something new about humans. They do not always roar, but they never truly